Do you know, flowering bonsai are absolutely gorgeous. They make your bonsai benches glow. They make people stare. And do you know what? They should. But it's not about this azalea today. We're going to revisit the CrabApple, which I purchased from Greenwood's in 2025. We're going to follow it through a bit of a later repot. We're going to see whether it flowers as a result. We're going to see whether it fruits. And indeed, we're going to find out whether or not I did indeed do an air layer on it. The voting on that was pretty tight. But to find out exactly what I did do with that CrabApple and how it's looking now, 6 months later, keep watching. Hi, it's Xavier. Welcome to my Bonsai Retreat. And do you know what? I've been wanting to have a CrabApple for absolutely ages, and I picked one up last year. And this one, it's lovely. It's very nice and tall, loads of movement, got some taper. And do you know what? For a CrabApple, which can be a bit clunky and heavy, I think it's pretty good. Only problem is, we're only the 2nd of March, and those leaves are already opening up. Is it a bit too late to do a repot? Well, I really need to have a look, because whenever you buy stuff from a store or anything like that, you really need to try and establish whether or not the roots are in a good state, because it could be that if I leave this one more year, another hard winter, and it could die. So best thing to do straight away. Normally you can just pull these things out of the pot. They've been imported en masse. And basically just have a look underneath there and see, is it really full with roots? And there's definitely thick roots there. We've got circling roots. So in this instance, oh, and we've also got a little weevil bug in there. Based on what I've seen there with the roots, the soil, which is basically just a potting medium, and the fact that we've got some wood louse and that, I want to get that out and I'm going to get it repotted. Does that mean that could affect the future flowers this year? Definitely, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Now I know it can be quite nervy for some people to consider doing repots when the leaves have come up. You're forever told, wait until the buds just start to swell, great time to do your repots then. But you know what? Sometimes we've just got to put up with our conditions. 2-3 weeks ago, we were in heavy frosts. Couldn't do a thing with it then, and it looked like it was going to continue. So, you know, is it a no-no doing the repot now? No. I've just got to be a little bit circumspect and recognise that if I have to take off more roots, it may mean we're going to have a bit of a poor year this year. But you know what? For the long-term good of the tree, I'm willing to accept that. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that upward thing, because that's really, really annoying me. So let's get rid of that. And I think we'll continue from here, because when you look at apple, all along, if you go further back, we've got bud points there. There's another bud point further down there. So I can afford to lose this bit here. I just want it to look better. The same here, if you look at this one going across, I'm not going to want that. So I'm already going to say, yeah, I'll sacrifice that. I probably want that flower there, to be fair. So let's go right back there. Let's get out of the pot now, shall we? And really, I just want to see all the white stuff we've got there. That's the nice beneficial bacteria going to very gently tease these out. And these circling roots, again, don't want to take off too much, but if it's a healthy tree, it will do fine. If I leave these circling roots too long, well, it's just going to exasperate the problem. Exasperate? Or is that exasperate? I don't know. So let's just take off some of these. And the good thing about time-lapse is you don't need to worry, because you're going to see how this reacted when I show it in a few months' time. Also, that soil is almost, it's just pure potting mix, the soil. Better to be doing the hard work now than facing problems in 2 years' time. So what we're going to do, now I'm not going to pretend that taking away all this root doesn't come with a risk. It does. I've said it already, Sometimes it's about balancing the potential risk if you leave it another year. And you often wonder about all these roots here. What's the problem? Because you see all these roots and it scares you. But the reality is there's probably only, I don't know, a dozen roots, and they're all great big long ones like that. So although you've got that great big mass, all the feeding of that's coming from just the little filaments that are coming along the way. So just because it's long and gangly doesn't mean you've taken the life throat or the life energy out of this thing. If you're going to do an operation like this, do as much of the hard work as you can in one go. The worst thing is taking off only half of all the really horrible ones. Putting the tree back, it starts to recover, then you go back in the next year and take off the rest, and the tree says, hang on a minute, you've done that to me once, please don't do it to me again. And this is the pot it's going to go into. Just got my usual potting mix in there, zeolite, pumice and leca, probably something like that. And then we just need to, that's nice, just need to tie that down. And there we go, successfully repotted. Yes, I've had a little bit of play and put some moss on there. It's always nice just to give it that touch. Does it need it? No. Reason why we use moss, normally we're going to show the tree. But I'll put that on there, we'll see how it goes. And now I'm just going to let this flower out and observe exactly what happens. Although I'm pretty confident that when you see it in a few moments, it'll look pretty good. And if it doesn't, trust me, you're still going to see that. All those white flowers. There's some browned off leaves. That's because we had a frost last week. Look, some pinks. Well, it's the 13th of June. Bit of wind up, bit of sun out. And hey, look at that. Isn't that spectacular? It had a reasonable amount of flowers earlier on in the year. And I just let it go. Now, it hadn't actually decided to keep all its flowering fruit. Just here you've got an example of one of the buds that were forming for one of the crab apples, and this year it's dropped them, and I presume that's because it recognizes it had a repot, put out lots of growth, but it probably hasn't got what it thinks it needs to support the apple, so it's dropped them for me. Because guess what? I was going to cut them. The question that I left you with all last year, I think, was, am I going to attempt an air layer up here, bring the tree height down, and get a second crab apple from it? And when we did the voting, I was actually surprised. There's probably about 14 or 15 of you who expressed your opinions. And it was about a sort of 60-40 split in favour of doing the air layer. Now, you might argue, second week in June, third week in June, are we getting a bit late? Well, the answer is no. I can still do that air layer. They are vigorous and it has responded so well. To find out whether I am going to do the air layer and what happens next, I'm going to put you through the misery of some of our subscriber photographs, because there's quite a few good ones that have been building up. So tell you what, let's go and have a look at that and vote again whether or not you think, in fact you can tell me, do I or don't I? Do you know what? Sometimes you just want to have a nice easy life, don't you? It's Sunday. I've been to Mass. I come back here. The last thing I want to do is work. What happens? I've got Nate. I've got Cindy over there, but she's so beautiful. She doesn't want the world to see it. Beside her is someone who's even more beautiful, if I can say that word. It's Scott. There he is. He's the head of everything now. Very low key, but it's great to see him in the garden. I can't believe you actually took the time to pop in and see me.
Oh, when Scott mentioned the opportunity, we could not make the time to do it because I love your stuff and I had no idea that you had all of this. It's an amazing collection, really.
You got any words of advice?
Patience?
No, for me.
Oh, no.
Sometimes.
Seems like you're doing well.
Well, you took a lot of attention of my Japanese white pine, which is on this side. What do you think of it?
I think it's a really, really nice white pine. It's very happy. The cone generation is proper. It's not doing multi-cones. That can sometimes mean over fertilization. It seems really happy and it's a beautiful tree.
Well, you said a key word. Anyone who's watched this channel knows the one thing that's never ever going to happen is over fertilization. I've had my 4 children. That was it. No more fertilization going on. Can I say that? I don't think I can. By the way,
thank you so much.
Fingers crossed that, well, we started off thinking it was Escalonia, but everyone knows I misidentify everything. You quite rightly said you thought it was probably a Japanese quince. They were cuttings taken 2 years ago. Since Sphagnum moss, no idea whether you get through. If you get stopped by customs, if they put Cindy in jail as ransom, don't tell me. Scott, you didn't know either, did you?
I don't know nothing.
You know nothing.
I was told that if I'm arrested that they do have bonsai in English prison.
Can I get you to do an intro back from the viewers' pictures, which, by the way, the viewers' pictures are fantastic. Please keep sending them. I love it. It keeps me humble. expressionsbonsai@gmail.com. Honestly, normally once a month. But, Nate, can you direct us back to the... I'll be thinking about this in a minute. What is it that I was going back to? It was something. It was awful. No, it wasn't. Oh, it was a trident. No. Nate, I've had one of those old moments. I don't know. Do you get them?
Constantly.
Often, do you look at your wife and think, what is she doing in my house?
Not yet.
Look, Nate is going to just do that, and that means we're going to go to whatever it is that I was doing just before he interrupted me on my very, very lazy Sunday afternoon.
We've taken enough time of his years and back to what he was doing.
Brilliant. That's great.
All right.
Anyway, what have I decided to do? Well, actually, I haven't decided. So what I'm going to do is, obviously at each bend, we've got a nice branch, a branch. What I'm going to do is reduce it all down with some circumspect pruning. And it's very healthy, so I can be pretty brutal with it. The one thing I do have to do is make the decision before I get to the top, because actually, I probably want a lot of nice green growth if I am going to do that air layer. And so if we look down at low branches here, we've actually got another branch behind it. I'm not going to make the decision yet, but here, then if you can see, we've got something going up. I don't want that, so I'm going to remove anything that's upwards. And what I'll do here is there's buds much further back and closer. I don't need this foliage all the way out here. There's also a bud in close there. Let's just cut it back. I mean, that was last year's growth. This has all come from this year. So I want that one right there, to be honest. You know, I do a bit of semi-defoliation. I'll do the same thing on this. And we've got some brown. You notice here we've got some browning on tip ends. That's just a sign of typical for the apples. It's not right across the tree, but I am going to remove anything like that that's damaged. And I will also just have a look around the backs and see if there's any sign of aphids. Nubs and stubs, clean those up. The apple is pretty coarse, so you are going to get a lot of that sort of thing. But we'll clean that while we can. And we've got this branch next, quite nice. Got a little shoot from there, and then shoot there, so we don't want any of that. And I don't want that big leaf there or that big leaf there. In fact, we don't want that one either, or indeed that one there. And there's a little leaf right at the back here. Let's get rid of that as well. And again, I'm just going to bring it back to basically 2 shoots. The reason why I'm quite happy to do this semi-defoliation is as we move into the summer, it does mean we get light and air flowing through. It's much healthier for the tree, I find, and also it means it's easier to spot when the aphids are going to attack. It's always difficult. You can't see what I can see in terms of the dimensions, but by now I think most of you have got a good idea of my pruning style and technique. And if you haven't, tell you what, there is actually a really cracking video right there. If you do want to see pruning in a lot more detail, it's that one. It's all about the trident maples. I always talk to you about the easy wins when you get confused what to prune. We've got this big long branch here. It's very coarse. There's actually a bud there I really would like. Probably in the autumn time, I'm going to cut there. I could actually cut it now. But easy wins here. If you look here, 2 buds, one above the other. So you'd have to make the decision. If I was going to keep this great big hanging branch, I'd have to decide which one to cut, and it would probably be the lower one. But bear it in mind, I don't actually like that. Got a nice one up here. I'm actually, because I've got this branch here, I'm going to take a chance and see if we can promote some budding further back. So that's the lower half done. Much clearer idea of the design and profile. Let's have a look. Front is probably, I like this base for the front, opens out, branch. Yeah, can't decide which of those 2. I don't need to decide yet, but yeah, obviously it's not going to be the front, is not going to be here, because I'm looking at back branches here. I could actually lose this lower branch if I wanted, lose this one. But you know what? Apple, look at apple in the nature, it's all over the place. So let's just make a straightforward shape with the branches we've got. Right, well there it is cut back, and I kept as much as this top that I could have. Now if we were going to do the air layer, we'd have to probably lose this branch. It would be centered around the fact that we've got this mass coming off here. We couldn't go any lower because we've got nothing upwards, so that would get removed, leaving that to be the new leader. Absolutely nothing on this side. Yeah, we've got this great big hulking fat bit, but it's an apple. Apples are huge, ugly, coarse. So we're trying to present what we want as a nice leafed up completed tree, so that when the flowers come up, that's what we enjoy the crabapple for, those flowers which you get earlier in the year. It's no different than a azalea. Often when you look at the azalea, most of the time, it's just stuff everywhere. It can look a bit coarse. That's not to say some of the refined ones don't look good, but there's no way of looking at it. I am going to keep this as a single tree. I'm not going to try putting an air layer in. That would be the location, but there's also a lot of scarring and everything there. And I'm just not sure whether it's worth it for what would be probably a nice little marmite, let's be honest, for this area up here. So with that decision in mind, the big key branch that had to be decided was this one here, because it was going to provide the crossback that I needed. Right now all it's doing is getting in the way. So now we'll get that out of the way. Nice deep cut. This one, I'm actually going to cut that off. That I'll seal off, and the reason why is I want this branch to develop out. We are going to need something to come from here, and it will happen, not a problem. So general shape, we've then got to look up here. Here, we definitely don't want that one there. We'll get rid of that. And the reality is we're probably going to get rid of this bottom one. Quite coarse and clunky. We're going to let that grow over the next year and see what happens. If we look at the this long point here, I've actually got a nice shoot coming up here on the right, and the one just slightly below it on the left. And if you look at what would be the internodal distances, then having this great long shoot makes no sense. So it may not surprise you. What's actually going to happen is that will get sealed. These are the new apical regions, and in fact I don't want it to go as high as that. So that's going to be it. Right, well it's definitely looking a lot smaller, a lot more compact, and I've filled in a lot of those holes with some cut paste, and straight away I'm a great one for trying to do a lot of the hard pruning work as early as possible in the tree's life. Means that when it starts developing new stuff, it's already where I want it, or it's not going to happen at all. This branch too long, so let's cut this right back. There's buds right in close there. I could cut that one back, but I like having that growth there. Comes in and around. I can see myself losing the top there, but do you know what? I've taken a lot of foliage off. I'm still not 100% sure. I think that isn't a bad place to leave it right now. So that's the crabapple. Did the repot earlier this year. It definitely seemed to be happy in a lot more deeper soil and a lot more free draining, and I've had lots and lots of growth from it. Actually, no, that top's too much. That's far too long up there. Right in close here, we've got lots of little buds, so that really only needs one decision. Let's ask it to bud. I can see myself cutting that, I really can. Chances are I'm going to pull this one back as well, but no, I want to leave growth, so I want to leave green on there. We'll leave that for now. All right, well, let's have a look. It's a front somewhere around there is the front that I'm going for, and I could see myself taking more of that down. You know what? I definitely want to keep a little bit of foliage on this. There is potentially another front, so have a vote. Either here, or indeed somewhere around there. That opens up really nice. It gives you some branches surrounding, curving up round. Potentially I can see myself losing. Well, this is where the air layer could actually come in. Take that branch away, put the air layer in there to have that little clump, and then I'm growing from this point. Feel free to let me know whether or not you still think air layers on the cards. But you know what? For my first ever shop purchase crabapple, I'm really happy. All I need to do, some general slow release fertilizer, and it is a pretty balanced 777. Clearly I'll cut most of the foliage off, as you can see. In fact, the carnage is all in the bin right now. It's going to be in a shaded spot, because what I don't want to do is cook what remaining leaves there are. And I tell you what, when we have a look at this in the autumn time, hopefully you're going to be surprised with the potential new buds that are going to be coming out. So I reckon that crabapple's is developing along nicely, and hopefully I've made the right decision in not doing the air layer. But bringing us back to this Satsuki, many of you say clickbait for the start, but no. I've actually decided that although I've got a time lapse going on how to keep these things green, how to treat them properly, I really do think in another week or two we're going to be seeing these flowers come off. We're going to be seeing the pruning that needs to happen to take your growth in closer and tighter, and therefore produce a much more attractive bloom of flowers. Because, hey, right now is a good time to be cutting these. But to learn more about that, that's a good video to watch. Otherwise, happy bonsai and God bless. Cheers.